What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Brave and Faithful podcast. Again, I'm your host, Raiden Dionisio. Today, I have Air Force veteran. He's also an ER nurse and a traveling nurse currently out there taking care of our civilian population. And he's also the co-founder and the COO of VETWOD. I have none other than Sebastian Paz. Sebastian, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, man? Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you for taking the time. So, as traveling nurse. So how is that? And well, first off, let's start off with your service. So Air Force, 8 years.
Right.
Um, can you just tell us a little bit about that and how you
Yeah.
transitioned?
Yeah. So, we can wherever you want me to dive into more, let me know. But after I graduated college, I worked in the civilian sector for a couple of years, and I was a social worker, and I loved it. But it was I didn't see myself in that field because I don't know. It was just I was working with like foster care and adoption, and I was just hurt all the time. I guess it was a very tough field to be in, and I just eventually I'm like, okay, I can't be here forever because it's going to change me. Like, there's people that can do it, and I think they're angels, but I was like, yeah, I'm gonna not be able to be here too long. So
You
I've
weren't built
always
for
want,
it.
yeah, and I had always wanted to join the military. I'm a naturalized citizen. I was born in Colombia, came over to the US when I was about 14, 15. And so I always had like this feeling of wanting to give back. So after in college, I played soccer. So, I took advantage of that scholarship and that opportunity. But then afterwards, I joined the Air Force, and I was first a firefighter medic. And then I transitioned to being a flight medic, doing air evac, and then my time was up.
So when did you like what was the time frame when you joined and when you got out of the
This was
military?
in 2012.
2012 you joined.
Yes.
Okay. So 8 years. So you just got out last year?
Yeah. A little bit over a year. Yeah.
Okay. So, we mentioned earlier you're an ER nurse. A lot of veterans, I don't know if you know of any that, they kind of have that difficulty of transitioning out of the military. You seem to be doing well, made that transition smoothly. How was that process for you?
I guess in talking to friends, it can seem smooth, and I don't have any major complaints, but I would say that it was challenging.
Mm.
I think some of the things that might have helped me a little bit was I knew I was going to get out somewhat soon, and having a family that I have to that I'm responsible for. I was thinking ahead, and I'm always, when I joined the military, I was a little bit older, so I kind of, I'd been on my own since I was like 17, and so I was thinking about self development, education. I was thinking about, being good with finances. Um, so all these things that I think kind of set me up for success in some ways. And I'm always, coming from a third world country where we had nothing at certain points,
Yeah.
and raised by a single mother. I am the type that takes full advantage of opportunities, freebies, and benefits and stuff like that. So when I was in, even though I already had a degree, I used my TA, my tuition assistance. I would, if there was any like free money to go to college, I would take a course or take a class, and I ended up accruing a lot of college and like more degrees, and that really helped me to when I got out. I found a program that I could bridge my military, experience, my bachelor's, and all my medical training into not just like a BSN pro, like a bachelor's in nursing program, but actually a master's in nursing program.
Okay.
So I utilized my GI Bill, and I'm like, if they're going to pay for it, I might as well just go to graduate school. And so it was a very intensive, very hard program, but it's what my family and I needed. And I was like, I'd rather, GI Bill pay for this, and, that'll really set us up for success, and it took a lot of work, and it wasn't easy, challenging, and I still feel in some ways that I'm still transitioning over to being a civilian. And
Yeah.
I feel like I really connect with that military veteran community, and I still have that mindset, and I still have like the discipline and like I guess the way of life. I think it changed me forever. In some ways good, in other ways not so good. But this right now, people may think that it was super easy and you have it good or you're lucky, but it required a lot of intentional work, not just hard work, but planning and really taking the necessary steps to follow with the game plan. And now we are where we've wanted to be for the past 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just want to highlight what you kind of just mentioned in the beginning there is, you had that mindset of, hey, I'm not going to be in the military forever. Like I'll be getting out soon. Like this at some point it's going to end. Right. And I think
Right.
a lot of, service members, they don't realize that until it's close to the end. And it's like, oh, it's right there and it's right in front of them. And they're not really as prepared as they should be. And I applaud you for, just, staying focused and, keeping your goals in front of you, setting out the goals that you wanted to accomplish while you were still in, and now you're able to provide, for your family. So wanted to ask you, I'm a immigrant myself. I was naturalized citizen. Um, what what do you think makes those people who are immigrated coming from another country, uh, and then coming here to America, what kind of makes them more, I don't want to say more successful, but what kind of makes them successful coming from that
Yeah.
background?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess I don't want to speak for all immigrants or all immigrants for my country, but for myself, you know, uh, we Colombia back then. This was like late 1990s, early 2000s. There was still a lot of crime and a lot of kidnappings and a lot of
Mm,
guerrillas. And so we left because my mom wanted a better future for us. I mean, there's just no doubt about that. And I think seeing the difference of, hey, in this country, you do things the right way, you stay in your lane, you work hard, you have opportunities. So it could be a little bit heartless, and I don't mean to come across that way, but if you don't make it in the US, if you're not successful, if you don't at least, live comfortably, I'm not saying you have to be rich, but if you don't
right.
at least have, you're above the poverty line, in some ways it's because, of the decisions that we made or the decisions that, our parents or the generation before us made. But I always say, man, if you want it here, you can have it, you can
Right.
get it. And I'll give you an example. Like my mom, she's a lawyer in Colombia, full lawyer with many years of experience. She was driving a taxi, she
Mm,
was driving a school bus because the unemployment, the situation was very tough, and so she's like, we can't do this. She started thinking about my sister and I. And then she's like, it would be better in the long run if we just go to the US, and I'll, clean houses, I'll babysit, I'll do whatever. And I mean, she worked hard, but she had a job and she was able to make money. And then my sister and I were able to go to school here, learn English, and just have opportunities. So I think the difference would be like being in poverty and being at a dead end in some ways, and then seeing like, oh man, like the land of opportunity, or you reap what you sow, or that concept of you do the work, you keep your you stay in your lane, you keep your nose clean, like
Mhm.
you'll be good. And that's why, man, when opportunities come up, or even in the military, I'm like, I'm gonna go hard. And maybe that's just, I only have that speed where I go all in. But I think that helped me in the military, when even starting for boot camp.
Mhm.
I'm like, yo, I'm buying into this. I'm maximizing this. I'm gonna utilize this. Or it's available. I want it. So maybe it's that, the fact that we're just appreciative and we're thankful. We're like, man, I'm not gonna let this go to waste.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that about the story about your mom and the struggles you guys face when you guys immigrated here. And just to your point, man, I mean, like opportunities are out there, especially for us veterans nowadays, whereas maybe 20, 30 years ago they weren't there before. So there's many organizations and companies that are military and veteran friendly that can help you, you know, with your pursuit in your second service. So opportunities abound. You just got to take it. Um, so Sebastian, so mentioned earlier that you're an ER nurse. How did what did you do in the Air Force? Were you in medical as well? And is that how you kind of made that transition?
Yeah, so I was a firefighter first, and I loved it. It was awesome. But I always said to myself and my wife, I'm like, if I ever do something else, it'll be medical, because I really enjoyed the medical side of firefighting, like going on medical calls, or the ambulance work. And so an opportunity came up of cross training to being a flight medic, so doing medicine out of an airplane, or just various sizes of airplanes or whatever. And it was very competitive, but I'm like, it's an opportunity. And the only other thing that I see myself doing um, is basically an ambulance in the air. So I went for it and became a flight medic, and that was my second half of my time, was being a flight medic. So, and you know, being a medic in the military is a lot different than being a medic out in the civilian world.
Yeah.
Our scope of practice, our our training, the things that we are able to do, or we have to do in some ways, because you could be the only medic around, or the only medical professional around for miles and miles, or hours and hours. So going down range spatially, we did do a lot of nursing things. So when I got out, or before I got out, I knew that I wanted to become a nurse. And being a medic as a civilian can be tough financially, and it can be really competitive. So I needed something that I loved, that I enjoyed doing, that I was passionate about, but that also provided me with opportunities and good finances. So I'm like, nursing, it pays well. There's hospitals, they're always needed, and then males in nursing also. I feel like there's not that many, so I just saw an opportunity, and I'm like, I just what I want to do. And my wife is a nurse, and
Oh,
so yeah, ER nurse too.
that's
But
awesome.
yeah, so we, I kind of follow in her footsteps, and I'm like, it would be awesome if we're both nurses, and I'm kind of already doing some of that, and it just we went for it.
So, I mean, like in the midst of that, right? You also you're also a co-founder and the COO of VETWOD. So let's kind of delve into that. How did that, for those that may not know, how did that all come together? How did you guys all create this brand?
So on my last deployment, I decided to do a fundraiser to buy equipment for the gym that was out there downrange,
Mhm.
because a lot of the equipment was like rusted and broken, or we didn't have a lot. And
It's like
when I
hand me
was
down stuff, like old
yeah,
stuff.
and
Yeah.
now the base has a roof. They put a big canopy type structure there, so the things are protected. But when I was there was no roof, and so
Right.
everything was exposed to the water, to the sand, to the 120-degree weather. So things were not in good shape. So I'm like, I'm gonna do a fun competition just to like boost morale, and see if I can get some funds. And so I reached out back stateside to a bunch of companies, and one of those companies that I reached out to was Throwdowns, which they're like they do like software for events and competitions. So
Okay.
leaderboards, registration, marketing, advertising, stuff like that. And it just so happens that one of the co-founders was a veteran too. So then they're like, "Yo, we'll help you out. We'll donate whatever it is that you need." And so at the time, one of their another like co-owner and one of the workers was Wheezy, um, and we became friends. She was helping me, like teaching me how to run the software. She was available like here in the United States. It was like, I don't know, probably like 3 or 4 in the morning. She was up and she was on her computer helping us while we were running the live event. And so we became really good friends. And when we were able to raise, I don't know, like $15,000, and we bought a ton of equipment. So it was a really good experience working with her. And so down the line, she reached out and we wanted to do something similar. So, and I was already stateside, so we did something similar, and we were going to donate to Mission 22. And we did the thing, and it was awesome, and the response was great. And eventually we just decided that we were going to found a nonprofit that continued to do the work in our community and continue to emphasize the importance of fitness or physical activity of any kind, and also community as a means to get through life, not just for veterans and first responders and people that deal with a lot of trauma, although we probably need it the most, but just for anyone in general, right? I mean, no one is safe from hardships or from trauma. And so we just wanted to give people an opportunity to have a healthy outlet, a healthy coping mechanism. And that one time event that we put together turned into now 3 years of giving back to the community and putting on events and connecting with people, networking. And yeah.
Yeah, and for our audience who are listening in, you mentioned Wheezy. That's Wheezy Shoemaker, the CEO and co-founder
Right.
of VetWad. So you mentioned 3 years since you guys started VetWad.
Right.
What would you say has been kind of like through that, like the, I don't want to say worst, but some of the difficult moments you guys have had in creating this brand, and then how did you guys overcome those obstacles?
um I don't know that. I mean, it hasn't been easy. And by that I mean we've had to put in a lot of work, a lot of hours, um
And speaking of that, man,
because
you're a traveling nurse and you're doing this as well. Like,
yeah.
tell
So
us
that yeah,
how that goes.
that's back when we started this, I was in nursing school, I was getting out. And so and Wheezy too, I mean, she's married with a family, and we're both, and she's a coach, and she's got
Mm,
like 2 other side gigs. I mean, we're both very busy people, but we just saw a need. We saw an opportunity to do good. And I think mixing our strengths and some of the connections that we had, we're like, why not? And I think, a lot of people don't realize that it's just me and her. And we do have, a few people that help us, and, they volunteer, and which is awesome. It helps a lot. But especially at first, the first year, like it was just me and her, and people would be like, "Oh yeah, where's your office?" Or, "Hey, let me talk to your graphic designer, or like your secretary, or this and that." It's like, no, 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 like you guys don't get it. Like it's just me and Wheezy. Like I'm not a designer. I don't know what I'm doing, but we need to put something out. We'll do it,
right.
and so, and me and her, we've never been in the same place. She lived in Tennessee with her husband and their son, and we lived in Ohio with our kids. And then they moved to Ohio, but they moved to Ohio when we moved away from Ohio. So we've never lived in the same place. So it's all been through, phone calls, text messages, Instagram, Zoom before the pandemic. Like we were, all the time doing, collaborating. So it's been tough. It was tough. And one of the, like I mentioned before, like I'm the all in type of person. So I like to do a lot. And I probably work better under stress. But some of the frustrations that we have is that we want to do more,
Mm,
and we just don't have the time, and so we went really hard at first, and got the ball rolling, got some momentum, got really good support, and then it's kind of been, we've had to not let off the pedal, but we've had to like think more about the marathon as opposed to like burning ourselves
right,
out,
right.
because VETWOD is a passion of ours. We love it. We're in it strictly because we just want to help. And I myself am a veteran. Wheezy has a long line of veterans in her family. And I have PTSD, and I've seen the huge difference that working out and having a strong system around you. And so I'm like, like instead of the booze, or instead of like the drugs, or like the partying, or self-destructive behaviors, or like isolation and things like that, like we need to work on good coping mechanisms. So it's been a lot of work. It's been worth it. But yeah, I wish that we could do more.
Yeah,
But
you guys have built a community, and that's kind
right.
of like the accomplishment you guys have been able to do. And you gain a lot of support and volunteers along the way as well. And just like you said, it's a marathon, uh, not a sprint. Um, so with that being said, are you guys like looking for, I guess, like assistance to help out with some parts of running the brand, or?
So we've gotten a lot more organized, and we started to get more organized since the right before the pandemic. And then the pandemic happened, and we're like, all right, all the plans that we had, throw them out the window. Let's just put on a lot of free events. At that point, we were literally just like, especially when the pandemic first started, man, like people were depressed, people were isolated, people were like stressed out of their minds. We're like, yo, let's just put events out that are free, or that
Yeah.
are like $1, just so that people can like, just enter it officially, or whatever. And let's give people a reason to be outside. Let's give people a reason to, like, if you wanna rock, hike, run, lift, do whatever. So we kind of have adapted to the pandemic as everyone else has, but we are a lot more organized now. The base of operations is in Columbus, Ohio, which is Wheezy's house, and we are, slowly but surely, moving more things around. And but yeah, assistance, help, and yeah, it's just, every time we want to like do more or make a change, like there's a huge change in our lives.
Mm.
Either they moved from Tennessee to Ohio, she got a new job, but then not long into that new job, she got promoted to being like one of the bosses. So like now she's like dealing with a lot more responsibility. And then my wife and I, during the pandemic, like working at the hospital or moving around a lot. So it's tough to be consistent or to have such a solid game plan if there's so many moving pieces. But yeah, I'm excited about being more organized now and little making progress.
What would you say has been the most rewarding experience you've had so far since you guys created VETWOD?
For sure, it's getting messages, as direct as, "Hey, man, because of your event, because of VETWOD, I didn't kill myself."
Mm.
As honest and as raw as that, to someone saying, "Hey, I really appreciate your community. I feel welcome. I feel supported. Thanks for providing an event that really helps me to like stay focused or stay away from certain things," or seeing that people have met each other through our events and that are now like good friends, and you know just the connection in the community. And
Right.
especially now, man, like we've been VETWOD before the pandemic, but the pandemic kind of helped, or we were in a good position because a lot of what we did was remote and online. So we were just a lot, at that time, everybody started doing remote online, looking for like friendships and be more interactive on social media and things like that. I'm like, yo, like this is what we've been doing for a
Yeah,
while.
you guys have been
So,
doing it.
right.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. So Sebastian, can you give our audience an actionable step that they can take right now? Let's say if they want to be part of VETWOD or create something similar to VETWOD, like what would you uh, uh, ideas, tips that you can give them to take action right now?
As far as like personally, or as far as creating or organization.
Just personally in pursuit of whatever goal or second service that
Yeah,
they want to pursue.
I would say for sure, it all starts from within. So I would say personally, figure out something that you like, something that, and even sometimes something that you don't like, but something that can really benefit your mental and your physical health. So good habits, not bad habits. So less bad habits and more good habits that can really help us to be better people in all ways. And also, in a greater big picture scheme, if you have a dream, if you have a goal, if you've always wanted to do something, or if you dream it, you can do it. It's going to take time, it's going to take effort, but if you don't put the work in, then you've already arrived. You're not going anywhere, and if that's fine with you, then fine. But if you want to, career wise, or start a business, or an organization or nonprofit, or do something in your area, anything, you just got to do it. You got to sit down, plan, do a roadmap or whatever, and start chipping away at that, because it's definitely not going to happen if you don't do something about it. And a lot of times people are afraid,
Yeah.
and I was afraid in nursing school. Some of my classmates, they knew I was. I almost failed out of nursing school, man, or I almost quit too. I was like on the verge of either like flunking out or quitting, because it was tough. It was very tough. And, I had 2 kids at home. I had to drive an hour. It was intensive. It was tough. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
So I kept my head down, and I just kept showing up, and I kept showing up, and I kept showing up. And next thing you know, I'm testing, for the NCLEX to become a nurse. And I walked out of that test, and I didn't know if I wanted to throw up or go number 2. I called my wife right away. I'm like, I failed. Like, there's just no question about it. Like, I literally told my wife something along the lines of, I got to start studying again because I failed. There's no
Yeah.
way. And come to find out, I passed. And but I was scared out of my mind. But I still did it because
Right.
I wanted to do something. It was what was best for my family, so I went for it. And even VETWOD too. We're definitely not doing VETWOD because we have time, or because we're bored and we just want to pad up our resume, or just like be philanthropists and be cool. We're doing it because we saw a need. And yes, we're busy. Yes, it's going to require work. Yes, we're afraid. Yes, we're nervous, but we're doing good. And how can we not? So
Yeah, I think to your point, you guys found your passion and purpose. And then just like what we were talking about earlier, it just goes back to opportunities and just taking and grabbing those opportunities as they come. And just, not being afraid to fail, because I mean, you will fail at times, whether you want to start a business or pursue whatever career you're trying to do. There'll be times where you're going to fail, but you know, you're gonna if you don't take that chance, then you'll just be where you're at. You know,
yeah.
um, so that's a great point. All right, so Sebastian, coming up to our second segment here. So basically, these questions are the same questions I ask all my guests. So first question: what's one hobby you enjoy?
I have a lot of hobbies, man. I think my wife actually, she came down and put a foot down and said that I can't have any more hobbies, or if I have another hobby, then I got to give one up. So I just like to do a lot, man. I constantly like to go outside of the box and outside of my comfort zone. Um, I'll say jujitsu. Let's say I love jujitsu. I love training, and I'm bringing it up because because I travel so much and I'm so busy. I don't get to train as much as
Yeah.
I would like to. So I'll go with that.
So let me delve into that real quick. So you're a traveling nurse. You have a organization, company, VetWOD. You also love, like you just said, mentioned, you have a lot of hobbies. You like jujitsu. Like, give our audience like one tip of in time management. How do you handle all this and find time to do these things?
Yeah, so it's a tough one because my number one priority is my family, and so I never want to take away from them. Um, what it really comes down to is picking and choosing, and so I have to pick and choose, which is the reason why I haven't been able to, not able to, but I've chosen
Right.
not to go to jujitsu right now because it'll mean more time away from my family. And right now, with my nursing job, and I work night shifts, so I sleep during the day, and I'm in South Florida spending time with my family. So that's not just my immediate family, but like my mom and my sister too. And then my aunt and cousins and friends from my hometown. So that's a focus. And VETWOD and street parking, which I'm a coach for, and so I can only do so many hobbies, and so you have to pick and choose. And it doesn't mean that you don't ever get to do it again, but there are seasons. There are times where you can do a little more. There are times where you have to do a little less, and I'm okay with what I have on my plate now, and I'm not willing to give anything else up. So as much as I love jujitsu, that's the only thing that I'm okay giving up. So that's it. You know, you gotta sacrifice where you can and where you're willing to, and you know, just focus on what's important. And that's what we've chosen to do.
All right. So second question here. If you had to choose one person, dead or living, to hang out with for one day, who would it be and why?
Oh man, that's tough. I don't know. There's just so many people come to mind, man. Like so many people in history and like athletes and even like some of my family members, like
Yeah.
my grandpa. Um, I don't know. I don't know that I can give you an answer. That'll be a tough one because I would have to choose one person, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I would say probably like maybe let's go with MLK.
MLK, Martin Luther
Yeah,
King.
yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Why MLK?
Um, just a man of faith, and you know, just everything that he stood for, and you know, his how he changed the world and still continues to change the world. You know, and now more than ever, how impactful his work and you know his beliefs are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So next question. Recommend a book for our audience to read.
Um, I I would go with The Shack. It's a really cool book. And I used to read a lot more before I was in nursing school, and which I need to get into a little bit more. But I like a lot of. I'll either do like the military or like the real like documentary type books or fiction. I love fiction.
So The Shack, SHACK.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you know who the author was?
Mm, I don't remember the author. Maybe Young. I don't remember. No, I don't remember. But it's like I don't cry very often. Not because I'm not like in touch with my feelings, but I just don't cry often. That book I cried. It
Okay,
was
so
deep.
yeah, I'm looking at it. William P. Young, written by
Oh
William P.
yeah,
Young.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was Young. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So next question. What's your favorite quote and why?
Mm. Um, I don't know, man. I would have to go with a lot of quotes from the Bible. I have a couple different verses tattooed. Probably like Psalm 23.
Okay.
Yeah, I have that tattooed on my whole arm here. It was my first tattoo actually.
Okay. Was that like after deployment or?
No, that was when I became 18. My
Oh,
mom wouldn't
you
let
turned
me get a
18.
tattoo. Yeah, so I was like, I turned 18, and the next day I went and got it, and then she didn't speak to me for a couple months after.
It's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
All right. So last question here, Sebastian. Where do you see yourself in a year, 5 years, or even 10 years from now?
In 1 year, me and my family still traveling in our home and in our RV, traveling the country. You know, going places that we want to go to, working wherever we want to go to, and then in 5 years, I think in 5 years we'll probably be either fully overseas somewhere or working with either with an organization or a company that does work based maybe out of the U.S., but that does medical work or missionary work, disaster relief type work overseas. And so, you know, doing I don't know, living maybe somewhere in Colombia or continuing to do what we're doing now, like taking
Mhm.
care of people, helping, giving back, but in other places too. And then in 10 years, oh, I don't know, man, 10 years, that's our kid, my daughter will be a teenager. Our son will be a teenager too,
Wow.
technically. uh, staying staying sane, I guess.
Getting ready for teenagers.
Yeah, I don't know. 10 years. I don't know, man. We'll probably we're both nomads, and so traveling is probably always going to be in our lives and
Okay.
going places and doing things and going out of our comfort zone. So new hobbies, new places.
It's
I
creating
don't
more
know,
memories.
memories
Yeah.
all around, giving back and memories. Yeah, creating memories.
That's awesome, man. So for those of you guys listening in, Sebastian Paz, man, I appreciate you for taking the time. He's a traveling nurse. He's also a co-founder, COO of VETWOD, jiu-jitsu master.
Not even close.
He's an all around, just doing a lot of things, but most importantly, helping people in need. So I appreciate you for taking the time. Just one last thing, where can we stay in touch with you?
So online, our website is www.vetwod.org. If you wanted to do like social media, we're at VETWOD, VETWOD. And then personally, my IG is at Seb, SEB underscore Felipe, FELIPE. And, hop on the website, take a look around, shoot us an email, shoot us a DM, connect with us. We're pretty interactive and try to, as much as we're physically possible, get back to people. And we just love to connect. We love to help. And, a lot of times people will come up to us with projects or they want to do something, but they just need a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of a push or a connection or networking. So, we're always, if we can, we help. And that's what we do.
That's awesome, man. So Sebastian, again, appreciate you for taking the time, sharing
Of
a
course.
little bit about your story and VETWOD. So keep in touch, brother. Stay safe.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Have a good one.
All right. Take care.